Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Grounded, where we get real life topics from a biblical perspective. My name is Brian Boyd. Today's topic is planning a vision for your life. So over the past month, if you all been tuning in, you notice I've been doing a lot of videos on talking about your gifts, talking about your talents, and using them towards achieving the vision that you ultimately want to accomplish. And with that being said, what better way to wrap up this theme, to wrap up this month, than with the topic of how to plan this vision out? And going into that tonight, I'm going to give you three things that you can use, that you have to use in order to get to that vision. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the points. First and foremost, the thing that you absolutely have to have is an end goal. And the verses that I'm going to use for this tonight is going to be Proverbs 29 and 18. And that reads, "Where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keeps the law, happy is he." And by reading that verse, it led me to the belief that if you want anything out of life, you have to have a target of what it is that you want to accomplish, because that's the only way that you can accurately measure how close or how far you are from doing something. And with that, I want to focus on the second half of this verse, "But he that keepeth the law, happy is he," because one of the things that we kind of get in our faith is that the things that God wants us to do are there to force us to live a certain way in life. But from reading this verse alone, and I just got this morning, y'all, the law of God isn't there to constrain us. It's not there to force us to live a certain way. It's there to act as a restraint to keep us and allow us to live a good way. Because honestly, when you look at the laws of the Bible, the things that the Bible tells us not to do, it really wants us to live like a highly moralistic life. It wants us to live good. It wants us to do good. It wants us to be good. But when you go outside of those things, you have the potential to bring harm not only to yourself, but also to other people. And that's the same way that we should look at our goals in life. We have to have a point of what it is we ultimately want to accomplish, because we could do so many good things. We could join so many organizations. We could do community events. We could give back. But if there's no end goal behind doing all of those things, if there's no real purpose of doing them outside of doing them, then what good will it ultimately bring? Yes, it'll benefit other people, but how does that help you? What are you doing it for? And that's the same thing when it comes to achieving your goal. If you have a vision for your life, you have to mark out where it is you want to go. If you're in the business, you have to mark out how much money you want to make at the end of the year in order to continue supporting yourself. You have to mark out what you're going to do with that money that you get at the end of the year. If you get it in excess, are you going to invest it back into the business? Are you going to spend it on vacation? Are you going to try to grow and expand your business? All of these things are things that you have to think about with an end goal. And for me, I could pretty much bring up my career, because at some point when I first started in my career, I really didn't have an end goal. I just wanted to hit the highest positions you could possibly get and then retire at 65 like the rest of society. And that in itself is one of the worst goals that you can have, because you have to have at least a timeline of what you want to accomplish, like within your career. What if you get laid off? What if that field goes out of it, which technology is never going to go out? But what if? What if it goes wrong? What's going to be my backup plan? And if you don't have those things thought out, then you're unable to pivot. You're unable to change directions in your life or make the necessary decisions that you need to. So to sum all that up, have an end goal. The second point that I would love to get to is that you need to be able to identify the things you need to get to your vision. And for this, we're actually going to use the story of David. And in verses that I'm about to give you, he's getting ready to fight against the giant Goliath, and King Saul, which was the current king of Israel at that time, more or less. You have to read the story. But basically, he's giving David his armor to go to war with. So with that being said, let's hit 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 38 through 40. And that reads, "Then Saul dressed David in his own tunic. He put a coat of armor on him and a bronze helmet on his head. David fastened his sword over the tunic and tried walking around, because he was not used to them. 'I cannot go in these,' he said to Saul, 'because I am not used to them.' So he took them off. Then he took off the staff in his hand, chose 5 stones from the stream, put them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag, and with his sling in his hand, approached the Philistine." So in these verses, what I got from this is that Saul is trying to give David the armor he thought he needed to go to war. But David understood that he could not use those things. At that time, David was 16 years old. He had never fought in armor. He never fought with a sword. He was a shepherd all of his life. He watched over sheep and he would protect them from, lions, tigers, bears, wolves, whatever was out there in that particular time period. So David gave Saul back his armor and he used what he already had. He used what he already knew, and that was the slings and the stones. That's the stuff that he was gifted with. And that leads you to believe that, in order to get to where we want to get in life, we have to know our talents, we have to know our gifts, and we have to be able to use those in a way that's going to help us get to our goal in life. For instance, with me, I can do a lot of things, y'all. I've told y'all this over time. I'm good like intellectually, but I'm also good creatively. I could do piano, I could do spoken word. And in my professional career, I'm a software developer. I can build apps. I know how to build websites. I know how to do a lot of those things. But at the core of that, all of those things that I can do, the biggest gift that I have is that I'm able to not only solve problems, but I'm able to teach those problems in a way to other people that it makes sense to even a 5-year-old if that had to be. That's my gift. That's the things that I was blessed with. And for you, you have to be able to find that for yourself. You may be good at a bunch of things, but what's the one or two things that you have in common in all of those things that you can use that as a foundation to get to where you need to be? That's really the key to it. You just have to find the origin of what makes you good at what you do. And that in itself is the gift that you need to get to where you ultimately need to go. The third and final point of this episode, the third and final point of you getting to your vision is that you have to align your life with that goal. And the backing verses for this is going to be Psalms 37, verse 23. And that reads that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. And with that being said, the biggest example of this would be our walk with God, because when you get saved, when you get baptized, we're called to live a different life. And in most cases, a lot of the things that we did before in the world are the things that we can no longer do. There are certain places we can't go. There are certain people we can't hang around. There are certain things we can't do because we have to align our lives with the way that Jesus walked, the way that our faith wants us to live. It's the same way that we do in our regular lives. My life right now as a single person with no kids is going to be entirely different than it is when I'm going to be a married man with children. Two completely different phases, two completely different things, two different levels of responsibility, because as a husband, as a father, I'll be tasked to make decisions that's going to impact the lives of not only myself, but also my family. The leadership and the headship that comes with being a husband. And I'm sure that a lot of you all can relate to that stuff too. Like in your lives, like when you didn't have kids and stuff like that, life was free. You just had to worry about yourself. But when you get other people that you're responsible for, your life changes, because you can no longer think about yourself, but you have to be selfless and make decisions that's going to affect the lives of those people as well. So with that being said, going back to the point itself, whatever it is that you want to do in life, you have to be willing to align all of your goals and all of your attentions towards achieving those things. And sometimes that means that you won't be able to go out on the weekend. You may have to miss happy hour or something after work, or you may have to tell yourself that there's food at home. You might have to learn how to cook because you can't eat out as much as you used to, because now you got to save money to get to whatever it is that you need to do. But regardless, these are all conscious decisions that you have to make in your daily life right now. These are the things that you have to do so that you can do the things that you want to do in the future. And man, I'm telling you, on this walk, I have given up so many things, so much stuff that I would love to do in order to do the things that I want to do. I got to cook in more often now. You know what I mean? I got to stay home just a little more so I can work on stuff like this to get it out to the people. Life becomes more dedicated, but the more dedicated you become to life, the more simplistic it makes it. The things that you become more focused and more directed on the things that you're supposed to do. And it takes out all of the distractions that you would typically have in life. And with that being said, I'm not telling y'all by no means that you can't go out and you can't have fun. Of course, you can do all of those things. You can do all those things in moderation and still live an amazing life. But at the end of the day, if you want to get to where you want to be, you have to limit those things as much as you can. But anyway, everyone, that's pretty much it. As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. But before we leave, let's get a quick recap. So first and foremost, if you want to plan a good life, you have to have an end goal. Whatever it is, you have to know where you're going. You have to know where you're going to end up at. And sometimes that's not always the easiest thing to do. You're not going to be able to plan out the next 30, 40 years of your life all the time. It just doesn't work like that. And in those cases, you just have to figure out what's your next biggest step and then just move from there. All right. As long as you're progressing, as long as you're going to get to the end result, as long as all of that is the same, you may have to do that. But regardless, you have to have an end goal. You have to have landmarks along the journey that you're taking. Secondly, you need to be able to find out your gifts. You need to figure out what that thing is that you're really good at. And once again, you can have a number of talents. You could be able to do so many things, but in the midst of all of those things, and this is from my personal experience and observation, it comes down to one or two things that you're really, really good at. And for me, once again, that's problem solving and making stuff simple to where other people can understand it. And to be honest with you, I don't even know where that gift came from, but it just happened. That's just God, man. But like I said, you all have a gift. Find that out. And when you find that out, that's literally half the battle. You just have to apply that gift to get to where you need to be. And that brings me to the last point. You have to align your life with that goal. Everything that you do, every place that you go, all of the gifts that you have should line up with the goal that you want to achieve in life. And I guess the best example, like I said, with everyone is probably college, probably going through a business. When you were in college for those 4 years, of course, you lived your life. You probably went to parties and did all the things you do on campus, but in the midst of all of that, you were still studying. You were spending up late hours doing schoolwork and everything. And you were going to class like in the afternoon or in the morning or whatever, getting that stuff done, all towards getting that degree. And the same thing it is out here in life. You may have goals that you want to do. You can still go out. You can still do the things that you want to do. But at the end of the day, you still got to do all of the work necessary to get to the vision that you want to accomplish in life. All right. But yeah, that's it. That's my summary. With this being Christmas, well, the day before Christmas Eve, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas for sure. Hope you all be blessed. If you're going in places, safe travels. Yeah, that's it, man. Merry Christmas to you all. Love you all so much. I appreciate you all for tuning in. For everyone else, quick shout outs to everyone that's been watching. As always, I appreciate you all. Shout outs to my pastor, Pastor Barry, Lady Barry, and the Generations family. I love you all so much. Shout outs to my mentor, Bishop Jackson, Lady Jackson, Hospital Church of Jacksonville. And y'all be sure real quick to check out the Inspired Network, man. It is on Fire Stick and on Roku. Future apps coming soon, but definitely don't want to miss it. It is a Christian-based network. Of course, they have secular shows on there as well. So you got music, you got videos, you got business, anything that you would love to watch. But be sure to go and check that out. Also got a show there with my co-host, Miss Kia. Shout out to Sister Kia Stubbs. We do a place called The Singles Nest, and that is a show dedicated to singles and Christians and how to live and navigate that life. So y'all be sure to check that out as well on the Inspired Network. But outside of that, I love you all so much. I'm gone now for real. I be holding y'all over, man, at least 2-3 times. But look, I'm gone this time. I love y'all. I'll talk to y'all soon. All right. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Arrivederci, all of that. Peace.